Gamers Nexus was detained by a government and probably blacklisted by NVIDIA for our next investigation. That seems kind of interesting. So full caveat here, I'll say it. As a former global consumer marketing manager at NVIDIA in charge of the gaming, I had to interact with these groups, not just Gamers Nexus, but other YouTubers. And I'm assuming that they don't have an incredibly positive vision of NVIDIA or their marketing team.
NVIDIA GPU black market in China for the last 3 weeks, and this is our biggest story yet. And also, I may or may not have been detained for an extended period of time for questioning at customs by one of the two governments involved in relation to getting this story. But I've been advised not to talk about that today. Also, we might upset NVIDIA.
Okay, interesting.
Again. So this story is pretty crazy because we found and spoke to smugglers, middlemen, and users
of
so-called AI GPUs, which have been banned by the United States government for sale into China. And in a world first, we got several of these people involved in the chain of fueling this black market of GPUs to go on camera and talk about either selling them or using the cards.
Interesting. Little context going in, if you don't know, NVIDIA makes the latest and greatest, best AI GPUs, used for AI training. Everyone wants them. They're banned from being sold in China by both Biden and Trump administrations. So they're often smuggled into Singapore and other countries and then go into China because they want them. However, because it's kind of hard to smuggle the amount of demand they need, it is creating demand for homegrown Chinese alternatives. China is propping up companies to make their own NVIDIA competitors, and Chinese companies buy some of those as well. And recently, I don't think it's going to cover it. This is probably more about the smuggling. Well, I guess we'll see. Let's get to it.
As recently as a day ago, the US government arrested 2 Chinese nationals for smuggling GPUs past US borders for export into China to be sold on the black market. We're making a full-length movie about all of this, and we need your help. In this story, we spent 2 weeks traveling over 2,300 miles, or 3,700 kilometers, inside China to talk to those in the know.
Cool
we then
fact.
spent a week in Taiwan to find intermediary companies. We worked with this guy in Huizhou, known as Mr. 5. And we asked him this question.
你觉得 NVIDIA 知道这个是当然知道的，但是就是它是怎么说呢？睁一只眼闭一只眼。
Open one eye, turn a blind eye.
This was the exact same idiomatic proverb given by 2 other middlemen in Shenzhen.
Do you think NVIDIA knows? Do they try to stop it?
就是它是这样。
First of all, I didn't know he could speak Chinese. White guy orders NVIDIA GPUs in perfect Chinese. Shocks everyone. Yeah, that makes sense. NVIDIA has every incentive not to question why someone's buying extra amount of GPUs in Singapore or Taiwan. They of course they're not going to turn down the business. But what changed recently is it's now above board to sell in China. Jensen Huang went to Trump and got the restrictions removed, but they have to pay a 15% revenue tariff straight to the US government on every GPU sold. And so now NVIDIA can sell the latest and greatest GPUs directly to China. However, the second they did that, China went around to all the companies and said, you can't buy them anymore. China put up their own restriction because the US restriction was actually helping them. It was helping them get customers for the homegrown Chinese versions. So it's strange. It's a strange spot to be in. However, the NVIDIA ones still are the best. Without getting too in the details, too in the weeds, there's a software layer on top of the hardware called CUDA. And CUDA has no equal right now. You can get a chip that's you can't even get one that's good, but you can get a chip that's almost as good basically as good from AMD, but it doesn't have CUDA. It can't work with CUDA. So because CUDA is the way people interface to create, deep learning training and AI and ML, the chips aren't worth as much. And that's why I believe, just to cut in one real breaking news story, China's first in-house alternative to CUDA just emerged 2 months ago, just now, to create their own, software that goes on top of the chip layer that they can then get out of having to use NVIDIA chips. They haven't done it yet, but there's a lot of push for it.
They agreed to let us record the conversation, but said we couldn't show their faces.
可以，就是 just can't show their face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and our company name.
In Hong Kong, we visited Dr. Vinci Chow's hand-built server
Dr.
at the Chinese
Vinci?
University of Hong Kong, a user and purchaser of GPUs which are now export controlled.
I mean, but it's supposed to be banned, right?
Yes.
But you can just buy it retail in a store.
As I said, it's not illegal to buy them.
Right. But I guess what's surprising me is how easy it is to buy them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw a story about this too. Like, it's supposed to be illegal, right? But here's the story. There's a massive repair industry in China for chips that are supposedly not allowed to be sold there. It's like if, you weren't allowed to sell iPhones in America, but on every street corner there was an iPhone repair store. That's weird, right? It's like very... It's just, there's a ton of stores offering to repair and fix and update your NVIDIA AI GPUs, but they're not allowed to be sold there. It's just, it's very Lord of War. It's very, it's kind of like weed legalization in America. Yeah, exactly.
The right price.
We met with a dealer of smuggled GPUs in Huaqiangbei who told us just how easy it is to get these supposedly banned GPUs in China by walking us across the street to introduce us to his suppliers.
That's crazy. This is real journalism, by the way. Good for them. This is cool. This is fucking cool. They're going out on the street in China and talking to actual people involved in the trade.
Does he need to make any trips to SEG to buy stuff that we could potentially go with him for? You know what I mean? Like if he has any need to go to Saiga to buy stuff, would he be interested in us following him to accompany him?
Yeah.
If you could find a soft way to present that, I guess. His cousin made tea and told us about the integrated circuit supply business, which fuels memory modules to people like this guy, Brother John.
你在这里有48GB 的4090吗？
我们可以现做。
You can make one right now.
Okay.
Make one?
Okay. Hey, cool.
Brother John takes defective NVIDIA PCBs and extracts the GPU while adding new memory modules to create high VRAM capacity GPUs like 4090s and possibly soon 5090s that not only aren't supposed to be sold to China according to the US, but aren't even official
That's
SKUs
crazy.
from NVIDIA. And they're in high demand.
This is my job at NVIDIA. That's what I used to do. I used to do this in my garage. That's how I would...
And for AI servers.
So what did he say? Sometimes people buy like 10 or 20 at a time or something?
He gets a 10 or 20 orders
Right.
at a time. Yeah, for AI
Yeah.
running like language, running models or...
We were also guided around Dongguan by a guy who called himself the Chinese Eminem. We then realized the best way to understand how GPUs get in
Holy!
and how this black market works
Chinese
would be to buy a
Eminem.
GPU which was smuggled into China. So we wired thousands of dollars.
Steven.
Yes.
Is this Steven?
Yeah, how's it going?
Oh my god. Alright, you ready? I'll help you here.
Yeah, so I've got $3,289 going out.
Perfect. Yep.
And their bank.
Okay.
You'll find out if that worked in the full-length movie we're making. For this story, no more anonymous sources say bullshit that you see in all the big publications. We spent months finding people to go on record and on camera. So, this story is special, but to finish the story, we need your help. We're launching our own version of a Kickstarter that we've linked below to help fund our production budget. This movie has a release date, August 15th, so it's coming out in just a week. To make this as good as we can, we want to
Wait, it happened already. It already happened. It came out. And NVIDIA is sensitive.
The whole story is fascinating and took us all around Asia, and NVIDIA has been incredibly sensitive about this subject. Months ago, there was a company talking about how GPUs were being smuggled in with lobsters. NVIDIA responded defensively, stating that it'd be better if American companies would focus on innovation rather than making up tall tales about sensitive electronics with lobsters. And we looked into that too, but I gotta save some things for the video. It's interesting further that if you really think about it, a lot of the cards that are banned for sale into China by the US government.
I mean, look, I'll break it down real simple. Something like 15 to 20% of NVIDIA's revenue comes from China. If they are truly banned from selling to China and it truly is cracked down, then it's gonna, torpedo the company. It's a massive chunk, right? So they're gonna do whatever they can to try and get. I mean, I assume this is recorded before the Jensen-Trump deal, because now they can just do it above board. It's not banned. But, previously it was.
They're made in China, so they can...
What percent of your role at NVIDIA was raising and training lobsters? It was a good amount. I didn't understand why until now. They're always like, hey, Shark, you got to raise a bunch of lobsters. You got to set up the lobster shipping. You got to get the boats with a lot of extra cargo space for the lobsters. Wink. And I'm like, why is he winking? It doesn't make any sense to me. Now it all kind of comes together.
Make them, but technically the U.S. says that companies that have them made
I thought Jensen was
are
just
not
into
allowed
me.
to sell them to China, where they're made. And so we looked into that too, because it's always possible for a card to fall off the back of a truck on its way to a port or something, and that was something we were curious about. The GPU silicon isn't made there, that's made in Taiwan, but the assembly and the making of all the other parts, like the shrouds, the PCBs, most of the VRM components, that tends to be done in China. Most of that is in Huizhou and Shenzhen, which we went to. Speaking of Taiwan, we also hopped over there to spend time.
It is very funny to think that, like, you're going to make the chip in Taiwan, you're going to make the rest of it in China, but you can't sell it to China. It'll find its way there, bro. I don't know how to give it to you. It'll find its way there.
I'm speaking to people in the GPU supply chain for this story. The whole story is just interesting because it's really bizarre and dystopian, and this sort of, it's like a future that we live in now. You'd see it in a movie or something where normally a black market is for drugs or guns or something that you'd think of as really bad in some capacity. So you're definitely not supposed to be able to get, but you can through these illicit means. And yet the people we spoke to as part of this story who are involved in GPU supply into China, where according to the US government, they're not supposed to be able to get a lot of these cards. The people we worked with referred to it as a black market for GPUs, or sometimes a gray market. And at the end of all of this, you have something where you just take a step back and look at it, and it's like, these are video cards that feasibly you could buy for playing video games, a lot of them, 4090s, 5090s, and yes, there's bands, Blackwell, B100, B200, H100, those to A100, the high-end AI GPUs or data center GPUs that wouldn't be for gaming, those are of course on the list too. But the fact remains that cards which we've reviewed and benchmarked in, I don't know, Final Fantasy are so valuable that they get smuggled into another country for sale. And of course, it's for things outside of gaming, but it could be gaming too. And when you look at it through that lens of this...
It's not for gaming. It's not getting smuggled so someone can play Final Fantasy, bro. It is for AI.
This is a thing that we all in our audience know from just a hobby of PC building, and it is so obscenely valuable outside of that hobby that people are willing to risk some kind of fines or potentially detainment or maybe even jail, getting it out of places it's not supposed to get out of.
Okay, but just to be clear, China's not enforcing. If you're an AI startup in China who wink, wink, find some NVIDIA GPUs to make your idea, China's not breaking in and cracking down because you bought NVIDIA GPUs. They have every incentive to not care either. The only person who cares is the American government. Even NVIDIA doesn't care. The only people that care is the American government. So all you have to do is make it above board for them. Everyone else doesn't care. They look the other way.
Because it's so valuable, to then sell it somewhere it's not supposed to be sold. And that makes it fascinating to us. That's why we covered this. So it's a big adventure. Tannen went with me for this. He was the one on the camera and running the audio for that. So just for context, normally, as far as like how...
Oh, I'm going to stop it here because we might watch the full video sometime. Not probably not today, but we'll watch the full video. And that'll be fun. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to learn more. Man carrying thing is always funny.
Hey, buddy, hey, do you need some AI? We've got some artificial generative, all that good stuff. You need some AI.
I own a plumbing company.
That's fine. Do you have an app?
No, we have a shitty Facebook page no one's edited in 5 years, as God intended.
Sure, but AI is rapidly growing and your business will be left behind if you don't jump on the bandwagon early.
Can AI clear shit from a clogged toilet?
AI could write the invoice. Ah, fuck it, whatever, forget it. Hey you, your company needs some AI, right?
I'm a full-time student and I teach piano on the weekend.
Yes, bro, on that grind set. In 2 to 3 years, AI could be teaching the kids piano and you could own that AI.
What's this guy's problem?
Don't you idiots understand? The US economy is being propped up by an AI tech bubble. Its implementation is overvalued. Companies like mine will crumble if you don't use AI as much as possible. Do you have an automatic customer service chat box? Just call it AI and slap our company logo on there. Please, please, please.
No, go away.
Fine.
But if this bubble bursts and the economy collapses, you only have yourselves to blame. I, for one, am doing my part.
That's great. That's fucking great. It's like Microsoft, dude, just trying to shove Copilot into every single possible thing to justify the cost. You want to use Copilot, right? You couldn't possibly make a PowerPoint slide without Copilot.